Hello, everybody, and welcome into my House prediction between the Republicans and Democrats. 435 seats. Every single one of them, of course, is up today. So it's a lot of really close races. 38 that are considered toss-ups, and there are quite a few in the lean Republican and lean Democratic column. So the question is, how many seats will the Democrats be able to pick up over the Republicans? The Republicans might pick up one or two from the Democrats, but generally, this is thought to be a year in which the Democrats will pick up some House seats. Maybe not a ton. Some think a ton, though. It's a question: is there going to be this whole blue wave or not? So, I generally think about the House as a district by district situation. Of course, there is the generic ballot, and that gives you an idea of the way the country is trending, and that shows a Democratic lead of 7.3%. But I think it's also important to go district by district. Because if you look at a district like the Alaska at-large district, some people put this in the toss-up column. It's considered in the toss-up column here on the RCP poll, but I don't find it very likely that Don Young, who's been there for 20-plus terms, ends up being unseated. I just don't find it all that likely. This one, I think, is going to the GOP. A couple of these districts out in California, the California 25th District, California 48, California 39, all of these polls, all these districts generally show polls that are favorable to the Republican representative. So, again, these are not districts I see flipping either. Could they? Sure, but I don't think it is extremely likely these go to the Republican. And you have a couple of districts in Florida. A lot of these can go either way. Florida's 15th, I have tilting Republican. The Georgia 6th race, an interesting one that we saw just after the election. That was the one with Ossoff and Handel running against each other. Ossoff was the big Democratic candidate. Everybody thought he was going to win. And then Handel ended up coming from behind and winning in the runoff election. I think we probably see a similar situation this evening. I think that Handel ends up barely winning that race in Georgia 6, possibly even closer than the race versus Ossoff, but I think Ossoff had that much more appeal. So I don't think that also that this race is going to go the way of the Democrats. Illinois 14th, it's tilting the way of Hultgren. I think this stays with the Republicans. A very interesting race to watch. Kentucky's 6th district. This is the Barr versus McGrath district. This is coming out directly at 6 p.m. Watch out for this one. You'll be able to see some early results coming in very, very shortly. I have this race going to Barr by the skin of his teeth. It's going to be very, very close. Maine 2nd district. This was a big Trump district in 2016. He won it by 10 plus points. That's staying with the GOP. I discussed Montana's Senate race. I said that was going to be pretty close. The House race, especially with an incumbent in Gianforte, I have him winning. He won after he body slammed reporters, so I have a hard time believing that if that wasn't enough, that he's going to lose this time around. North Carolina's 9th district. This is another one to keep an eye on early. It's going to be coming out at 7 p.m. with the initial results. This one I also have tilting Republican. New Jersey 3rd. It's the only New Jersey district that I believe that is up for re-election that is considered close, that I think is actually going to stay with the Republicans. There are a lot of others between New Jersey's 2nd and New Jersey's 7th that are likely to flip in New Jersey 11 as well. But I do think this one stays in the Republican column. New Mexico. Harrell has a lead in New Mexico. It's very close, but I do ultimately think that that stays the way of the GOP. A couple of close Pennsylvania races. Those are very interesting to watch. Move down to Utah. There is thought that this one could be competitive, but I think Utah is just too Republican for it to flip in favor of the Democrats. Ultimately, I'm looking at about 214 seats for the Republicans. I'm giving 221 to the Democrats. I don't see the Democrats losing some of these races that they already have incumbents in. Arizona 1st, I don't see it. Minnesota 1st, Minnesota 7, I definitely don't see it. Nevada 3 and 4, I also find very unlikely. These are districts I also have that are remaining in the Democrat column. The Texas 32nd race, the Republican has an incumbent here, but the polls aren't looking too good for him. There's a race in Iowa, the Iowa 3rd. I think Axne is going to be able to hold on there. And there are a couple of Florida races as well, 26 and 27, both showing small leads for the Democratic candidate, according to the New York Times poll. So again, I look at this district by district. I think that a lot of these districts have their own politics and have their own candidates who are favoring them. There's one other race I'd like to point out in the lean GOP column. This is West Virginia 3. I think this goes to the Democrats as well. These are some of the interesting races to watch early on. Kentucky 6, of course. Indiana only has one that is on this map. It's Indiana 2. I don't have a feeling this is going to be shifting or anything, but it's one to at least keep an eye on. How close is it? So again, when you start watching at 6 o'clock, the three things you want to check out: first of all, what's going on with that Indiana Senate race. Second of all, what's going on with the Indiana House race. And then the big one is Kentucky 6 in terms of the House race. So that'll do it for me here with Austin's election predictions. From here on out, I'll be doing a weekly video on the run-up to the 2020 presidential elections, give you updates on Trump's approval rating and what all of the new information means moving forward. All right, thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and I'll be back next week. Enjoy watching the election coverage tonight.